And as we walked further, and the guide that we had was an awesome young brother who was in school at the University of Cape Coast, but who was passionate about his history and passionate about us as a people not forgetting and not allowing the world to forget, you know, what had happened to us, what has happened to us as a people. Because I truly believe that a lot of the things, in fact, I believe that 99% of the things that we are experiencing as a people now that we talked about earlier are a direct result of us not having healed those wounds, because those wounds are embedded in our DNA. They are embedded in our cellular memory, you know, and so until we begin to reconcile some of those things and heal them, we will continue to act out in the ways that we're doing. But, you know, going back to the dungeons, going through that process, actually going into these rooms and seeing again signs where because the Dutch had owned that particular Elmina Castle, the Dutch, the British owned it last, so there were three different people. There was someone between the Dutch and the British who owned it, another European country. But seeing where they had the Portuguese, that was it, because I have a picture of the Portuguese church that was in the courtyard. I have a picture of this trap door under, I think it was the governor's chamber, or it may have been the priest's chamber. But anyway, there's a trap door that leads from the female dungeon. First of all, there's a courtyard where he could look down and decide which one of these women he wanted to take advantage of that night and pick her out, and then later on have his people to bring her to him. So there was a door that led directly from the female dungeon up into his bedchamber. I mean, that was almost enough to make me physically sick when I think about, you know, we have been through all of that to get to 2007 and have our own brothers in rap lyrics demeaning and degrading, you know, black women. So I had, you know, there were just all kinds of emotions that were, you know, just running rampant in my mind and spirit. So the male dungeon and the female dungeon we toured, the upstairs chambers where the enslavers were, where they held church, where they had scriptures posted on the doors, in these places where humans were treated less than animals. A lot to reconcile. And I guess the most powerful experience was actually being in that small room where you go for the last time in this small opening that leads right out to the beach, where you would get in a small vessel to be carried out to the large ship. And that was what they called the door of no return. And as I stood there and looked out, I still don't have words to quite articulate how many millions of Africans passed through that door, and others like them all along the west coast of Africa. And a part of what I have been continuing to process is that because I know that nothing happens in the universe without a cause and a reason, I know that there had to have been some divine reason why that was allowed to happen. And as I look at the state of affairs in our world today, I'm beginning to be more and more convinced that African people somehow hold the key to the salvation of this planet in some way. And I say that because, you know, all evidence, whether it's scientific evidence from anthropological aspects, whether it's biblical information, whether it's, you know, even now DNA, you know, all evidence points to the fact that the first human beings on this planet came out of Africa, and they were African people. So that would make African people the parent race on this earth. But we have forgotten who we are. And so if we can calm ourselves long enough to remember who we are and allow God to begin to do through us what needs to be done, while the babies of the planet are continuing to run rampant and create havoc and chaos, we can begin to put things back in order in a special kind of way. And I'm convinced that that is a part of why African people are scattered all over the face of this globe, from corner to corner. There's something in us that knows that we needed to, the Creator knew that we were going to need to be in these places in order to bring to the world a sense of stability. And right now we are not in a position to do that because we haven't studied. We have not known ourselves in our true sense. And I would submit to you, as I stood there in that door in Elmina Slave Castle Dungeon, I recommitted myself to coming back and doing the work on me first that I need to do to study, to show myself approved, to do what I need to do to help that transition come about, where African people will once again become the parents on this planet and do what it is that parents do. Barbara Baker years ago said it's like it would be like a parent deciding that they were going to go off on a vacation and stay for an extended period of time and leave a 2-year-old in charge. From a time framework, Europeans are the babies on the planet. They are the indigenous people in all of these other places where they have gone and created havoc. It's just like a child being left unattended. And so it's time for us now to get ourselves positioned so that we can do what we need to do at this time, so that all of the horror that happened in those dungeons and on those ships and on these plantations will not have been in vain. That's my personal assessment of that.